Do you ever feel like no one is listening to you no matter how hard you try? And you're not alone because I've been there. I was always a weird, lonely kid sitting in the end of the classroom, not having any friends, not speaking to anyone, and just staying home and playing video games. And if you look at my first YouTube video, you can see that my social skills, my speaking skills were absolutely trash.
Hey, so how do you get rid of the fear and the anxiety and the worries about what other people are going to think of you?
So I desperately wanted to change myself because I knew communication and having friends is such an important part of life. And then I started to record over 1,200 videos over the last 2 years and also read over 17 books on social skills, connection, tribe building, cult building, and leadership. And I want to give you the most 5 essential steps that you can instantly implement in your life today to become a charismatic speaker, stop being lonely, get people to actually listen to you, and get the attention and respect that you desperately desire. And it all started like 2 years ago when I was 16 years old and I had to do public speaking in front of the class. I couldn't sleep 3 nights before and it was just hell. Like I felt super anxious and I couldn't control my thoughts. And when it was time for me to actually perform and speak to other people, I stumbled over my words. I couldn't remember what I had studied and revised, and I just felt so awkward and uncomfortable. And other people could sense that. Other people could feel that I was this awkward, shy kid, and no one listened to me. You know, at school I always saw like this group of people my age that were like so charismatic and had these nice social skills, and they went out and spoke to girls and it didn't seem like a problem at all. They gained all of the attention and they went out to parties on the weekend and I never got invited. I just played video games every single day for like 8 hours, trying to distract myself and not facing reality. But I knew that if I want to have nice friends, if I want to get a girlfriend, if I want to have meaningful connections and people that actually hold you back. But just imagine you actually speak to someone and they listen to you and they understand you and you build a meaningful connection. And you're not always alone. Whenever you have a problem, you can go back to them and you can help them. They have your back. That is super valuable. And I saw that back then. And also for my career, if I want to become an entrepreneur, if I want to have, a good career in academics, right? I need to have presentation skills. I need to speak to other people, to coworkers, job interviews. All of that matters. It's impacting your life on a level that you can't even comprehend. And yet so many people ignore this important aspect of getting people to actually listen to you, of being charismatic, of speaking like you are confident. And you just have to make a couple of small little changes. And in fact, I looked into the studies and I saw that loneliness is one of the biggest causes for anxiety, depression, and stress. Because when we fail to connect to other people, we miss out on such an important part of life, right? Imagine 1,000 years ago, we were living in tribes. By the age of like 18, right? I'm 18. You had a family, you had 2 children, you had a wife, you had people to take care of. You were sitting together at the campfire, speaking about life, telling stories, which is a thing that I will teach you in just a second, and having a bunch of fun. You had human touch, right? And that released very positive hormones. But today everyone is so isolated and we revert back to social media. We watch videos like these and we get our, sense of fulfillment and connection from that. But it's just like 1/10, right? Just 10% of the real human connection that we actually need. 86% of failures during work are because of communication, because people fail to communicate clearly which tasks they have to do and which tasks they shouldn't do and what they actually have to do. 65% of marriages fail because of communication. Imagine you finally get a girlfriend by being able to speak charismatically, by being a good person, and you marry her. And then after 1, 2, 3 years, it slowly goes down the drain just because you fail to communicate clearly. You don't want that to happen. But imagine you work your ass off and you study so much for like an important job interview. You get the job. And after 1, 2 years, everything fails because you can't communicate to your coworkers, you can't communicate to the boss, and then they kick you out because you're working on the wrong things. You don't want that to happen to you, right? And you can do it. I completely changed. You can see the way I'm speaking right now, and you saw the video of me just 1.5 years ago. And with the 5 steps that I'm about to show you, you can make the same transformation in a couple of days by practicing regularly, effortlessly, and ignoring the rest that doesn't matter. So here's the first step. Have you ever tried to talk to someone and your mind just started to drift off and you had these negative thoughts in your mind like, this person won't listen to me anyway. I don't have anything valuable to say. Why am I even speaking to this person? And you're constantly just drifting off and drifting off and drifting off. And then when the other person is saying something, you can't even listen to them. You're not in the present moment. And that is a huge problem because how you feel inside is directly getting mirrored back to the world. So when you're constantly feeling anxious, shy, introverted, insecure inside, that will show in your communication. The communication that you have with yourself, this inner dialogue as we call it, is directly influencing your communication to the outside world. And this is a problem that I had for such a long time. I tried all of the strategies, like walking confident and, trying to articulate my words very sharply and, eye contact and all of these like social skills that you read in every single book, but it doesn't work if you're feeling like shit inside. So the first step that you have to take is to become aware of these negative, overthinking, automatic thoughts. They kind of just like pop into your head when you're in a social situation. So you're like speaking to a friend or like a coworker or a girl or just a random stranger, and you automatically get a thought like, I'm not good enough. Why am I saying this? Oh, did I think? I don't know what to say. You have to become aware of that. That is the first step. And once you become aware of that, you can replace these thoughts with manual thoughts. You have these random thoughts that just pop up into your head out of nowhere. But you can also place manual thoughts into your mind. Like you can say something in your mind right now. Try it out right now. I am valuable. I am confident that someone will listen to me. You can say that thought in your head. And when you do that over and over again, you basically reprogram your mind. And you become much more aware of these automatic negative thoughts and replace them with manual thoughts. And then you can change your inner dialogue, which is absolutely like first step. It's like step 0 before trying to improve your confidence and social skills and get people to actually listen to you and get people to respect you. You have to respect yourself. And you can't do that if you're beating yourself up. You have this inner critic inside of you. And now the second step, a thing that I always struggled with was actually speaking to people. Like I said, I just ran away from my problems and I escaped into video games and porn and junk food. And I was really ugly. I had fucked up teeth. That's why I have braces now. I was very obese because I just ate junk food and I didn't sleep right. I had, eye bags under my eyes and I just looked like an unhealthy human being. So whenever I tried to speak to people, I was super scared because I was so insecure. I didn't look right. I was anxious inside. I had these negative feelings and these negative thoughts once again. But after some time, everything changed and now I can, speak to you in front of a camera and this video might get 100,000 views. And I actually displayed my face across 150,000 people online. I got a girlfriend, I got a couple of friends. How did I manage to go from this anxious person that couldn't speak to anyone to the version that I am right now? Well, the simple answer, and I know you've heard this before, is just exposing yourself to your fears. Just going in there, doing the reps, and doing it over and over and over and over and over again until you become comfortable. Because you have all of these associations, right? You have all of these what ifs inside of your brain. Before you speak to someone, you're like, what if they judge me? What if I fuck up? What if I have something stupid to say? What if I don't know what to say? What if I tremble on my words? What if the other person doesn't like me? Well, that is just a narrative, it's just in your mind. And you have to basically overwrite this narrative by exposing yourself to your fears and going up to that girl, going up to that guy and speaking to him. And then you understand, oh damn, I was suffering more in imagination than in reality. And when you do that over and over again, you create new neural pathways inside of your mind. Alright, so you have these connections inside of your brain and they literally get rewired. So you become less anxious, less feared, less shy, and you just have to do it. So the actionable step for this section is to just speak to someone today. And this can be very, very small. You can create like a list, like a fear hierarchy, where you start with a thing that's level 1. So level 1 would be just saying hello to someone. Level 10 might be doing a public speaking presentation in front of 30 people, or recording a video like this. And you just start at the bottom and you work your way up. I couldn't leave the house 2 years ago. I couldn't leave the house. So what did I do? I started walking around my own house inside of the garden for like a week. After that, I started walking on the street with a mask on my face because I was too scared to show my face. Then, a couple of weeks later, I started walking for 10 minutes on the street and I spoke to one stranger and all I said was hello. A week later, I said hello, and if I saw someone walking the dog, I said, that's a cute dog. What's her name? What's its name? We started talking, a bit of small talk. Then like a year later, I took my mask off and I started walking confidently, right, showing my face, becoming really good at small talk because I had all of this practice. And that's exactly what you have to do, okay? But what is the next step? Like, now let's get really into the specific strategies that you can use to get people to actually listen to you. Do you ever notice how some people just seem to draw you in and you're just very tied to everything that they are saying? You can't help but to listen to them. Maybe you're thinking of like a inventor or like an entrepreneur that's on stage, like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, who's just speaking and captivating the audience. And you probably know like one single person, like this one teacher from school that was so enthusiastic, so empathetic, and so confident, and just, every single word just connected with you. That is because of charisma. And charisma is made up out of three things: presence, power, and warmth. And I will guide you through all of these three things so you can become a charismatic person and people actually listen to you. Because when you make people feel good and you're a charismatic person, they will listen to you. You like to spend time around people that are like you and that make you feel good, right? You probably had like this one friend that was kind of draining you, right? Whenever you talk to them, you kind of felt worse afterwards. And we don't want to be like that person. So let's start with presence. Presence is just being in the present moment when you're actually speaking to someone, right? So usually your mind drifts off, but you now know that you have to place these mandatory thoughts inside of your brain and just expose yourself to it over and over again. But that's not all. It's super uncomfortable when you're speaking to someone, right? It's probably happened to you sometimes. And you can see that their mind is drifting off. They're not looking at you. They are avoiding eye contact, right? They kind of seem uninterested. They're checking the phone. They're looking somewhere else. And you instantly, you're pissed off. You don't want to speak to them anymore. And that is something that we have to avoid at all costs. So how do you stay present during a conversation? Well, you just really try to listen, right? You really try to focus on what they are saying. You don't think about what you want to say next. You just listen to what they are saying. And you will then come up automatically with things to say back. So stop thinking about and anticipating your answer inside of your head. Stop doing that. Just really listen to them. Now you can also pay attention to your surroundings, right? Observing what's around you, right? Looking at the other person's shoes, or observing the face, like the face structure, or listen to the sounds like the birds chirping in the background. It's just something that puts you into the present moment. And next up is power, which is basically just how we carry ourselves. Because we all like to be around people that are confident, that are strong, that are authentic, that seem like a good person that can protect us. And this goes back to our tribal times, millions, thousands of years ago. We like to be around the leader who was strong, who was masculine, who could protect us, because when we were friends with them, we knew we are safe. And our brain is still working the same way, but today it's not that important anymore. But we still like to be around powerful people. And if someone has status, right? If someone is perceived as high status, like an authority figure, we have more respect of them, and we're more likely going to listen to them. You're more likely going to listen to a teacher than to me, because maybe I'm not your authority figure. If I am, you're probably a fan of mine and you're going to listen to me. You're more likely going to listen to like a doctor or a politician talking about some random things than a homeless person. Not to be discriminating, but you get the point. You're more likely going to listen to people that you respect. And the most easiest way to do that is to just become confident in your body language. And that is actually very simple, right? You can actually go with the principle of fake it until you make it here, because power posing, right? And having a confident body language is actually releasing hormones like testosterone, which will boost your confidence. So you can fake it if you're anxious and you constantly have this tight body language and you kind of look at the ground and you're not really present. People will see that and you will start to feel like that, right? You control your body with your mind. And when you close your body off, you release the bad hormones, cortisol, stress, estrogen, which is a female hormone which we don't want. Instead, we want confidence, we want testosterone. And by opening up, you actually increase the testosterone. So you can fake it until you make it. That is crazy. And all you have to do really is to stand wide, right? Have a quite bigger frame. Of course, training, going to the gym will help, right? But just one of the biggest things is to reveal your neck area, because your neck area is very sensitive. A few million years ago, or when you observe tigers hunting like a zebra in nature, or like a cat catching a mouse, they always bite at their neck. Why? Because it's a very sensitive area, right? If someone hits you here, right, the airflow is cut off and you die, or you bleed out. You're dead instantly, right? So we protect this area. That's why we see in martial arts people tucking their chin in, because we're very sensitive around this area here, our chin, our neck. So one very easy thing is just reveal it, right? Have the wide shoulders, right? Stand straight, reveal your neck, and don't do this, right? In the modern day world, we're constantly looking at our phones, and we kind of have this long neck. And a lot of people walk around like this, And this looks very unpleasant and not really attractive. So just try to have like a straight neck. And of course also have like a wide stance. So instead of having your legs like this, just put them a bit wider. And when you're sitting down, you can also like, people call it man spreading, where you spread your legs apart, which is amazing for giving your balls some air and actually feeling more powerful and confident. And finally, the last step of charisma is warmth. You can be confident, right? You can be powerful, you can be present, but you can come off as kind of like this alpha male, right? This kind of like person that no one wants to speak to because you're not warm. So you need to have all three things in place. Otherwise, you will just seem as like this asshole, like this fuckboy, or like this guy who is always insulting other people if you're very like masculine and, you know, present. So you need to be approachable. And a simple smile does the trick. Just smiling, having an open body language, right? Not closing yourself off, opening it up, having like just being a nice human being, right? I don't have to tell you all of the little things, right? Just smiling, right? Being happy, you know, like having like nice movements. And that can make a huge difference because people are naturally drawn to those people that are friendly, opening, and inviting. And if you're charismatic, people are more likely going to listen to you. But that was just the first step. Now let's speak about the second step. Have you ever wondered why some situations, some conversations just click and you instantly connect to a person? You feel safe and like they actually understand you and you want to listen to them because you think they have something valuable to say and you can relate. That is called making someone feel safe because our brain is constantly thinking about every 5 seconds on an unconscious level, so you're not really aware of it, if we are actually safe. And when we're not feeling safe, right, when there's like a threat in our environment or when we don't like the other person, they won't listen to us. We won't listen to them because we are focused on something else. So you need to make people feel safe around you and they will actually listen to you because your brain can only focus on so many things at once. And when the mind is drifting off, when they're feeling anxious, they won't listen to you. And you will fail to get respect and communicate your message effectively. Similar to the charismatic model, where we have presence, power, and warmth, we have a model called terror for making people feel safe. So let's get into the first T, which is called tribe. Because the first thing our brain is asking when we're speaking to someone is, are they with us or are they against us? Are they on our side or are they against us? And if they are against us, right, if they're like on the wrong football team, we don't like them. It's constantly just us versus them. We are better than you are, they are better than we are, and we're constantly fighting against other people, right? Whether that's in the political sense or man versus woman or, you know, calisthenics versus gym. Like you can see all of these narratives, or like veganism versus carnivore, they're constantly clashing. And if someone is on your side, you will automatically like them more. So how do you get someone to be in your tribe and to signal to them that you are on the same length? The first one is just to give compliments, which is insanely easy and super powerful. We like people that make us feel safe and that make us feel valuable. So when you give someone a compliment, like literally the smallest things like, hey, I like your shoes. Hey, you know, I noticed that you went to the gym yesterday. How did it go? Can make a bunch of, can make a huge difference. And the next thing is just finding a common ground. So being relatable. When you know the other person that you're speaking to likes sports, speak about sports. And say that you like that as well. Of course, don't lie, but find some way to connect your ideas, right? So when I'm speaking to other guys my age, they usually play like video games. I don't play video games anymore because I like to work, but I used to play video games a lot. So I end up speaking to them about video games because I know that they will like me and that we can connect. And then I give them compliments about video games. Like when they tell me that, you know, they play Fortnite and they kill 10 people, I then say, hey, nice job. I give them a compliment. And that makes me very charismatic as well, and it makes them feel safe in my presence. But that was just the first T. Next part of the terror framework, the E, stands for expectations. So you're constantly evaluating if you know what's going to happen in the future, because our brains don't like uncertainty, right? When you're about to get like a present, you hate not knowing what that present is. When you're about to, you know, get a test back, you're super anxious and shy and, you know, kind of not really shy, but you don't like the feeling of not knowing what's coming next. So you constantly need to have clear expectations of what's coming and basically make the other person, again, feel safe. So how do you do that? Well, the first thing is just to clearly state the purpose of your conversation. So when you're speaking to someone randomly, just say, hey, I wanted to speak to you about this. And what are your thoughts on this? And, you know, I have 5 minutes time. And maybe just let's get a quick coffee and talk a bit, right? Maybe let's speak until 13 o'clock. Just give like a time frame or like a specific cause or purpose of why you're speaking to the other person. And then they're like, okay, I got 40 minutes, I want to speak about this, let's go. But when you're like speaking to a stranger or someone new, they're like, what does this person want from me? What, like, can I trust them? Are they friend or foe? But when you make clear expectations, you're like, hey, just want to grab a quick coffee. Do you want to come with me? Let's speak about, like, what did you do in the weekend? You know, or when you're in a work setting or at school, you can just say, hey, let's speak about this math subject, or can you help me with this? Or, you know, what do you think about our boss? Or something like that. The next thing, super easy, is just to provide a clear roadmap. So it's like, hey, let's first talk about sports, and then, you know, you can talk about physics later or something like that. You just say, okay, this is what we're going to speak about first. This would follow like a framework, right? So even this video is broken up into different parts. Part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, and it's reducing your uncertainty. You know what's coming next. So I'm actually using these things inside of this video because we are communicating right now. It's the same thing, same principles as in real life. The next thing is just to ask for feedback, so you know that you're on the same length. So just say like, hey, what do you think about this idea? What do you think about what I just said, right? So when you're speaking about sports, just say, hey, what do you think about this team? And the last part is just to summarize what you said. So, you know, when you speak for like 10 minutes, you can just summarize it briefly. Or at the end of the conversation, you can just say, hey, it was nice to speak to you about this and this and this. You know, next time let's speak about this and this and this. And I really enjoyed this and this and this. You just give like a quick summary. Like, don't be stupid. Don't speak about it for like 5 or 20 minutes. Just give like a quick summary, like 1-2 sentences, so they feel understood and heard. And you basically close off the gap, the loop that you started with at the start. The next thing in the Terra framework is the R, which is status. How do I compare? We constantly evaluate on an unconscious level where we are standing as a social hierarchy. And we usually listen to people that are authority figures, like I spoke about before. But you also want to make other people feel valued at the same time. So you have to balance your confidence and your ego. You want to be perceived as high status, but you don't want to put other people down, because you notice when you're speaking to someone arrogant, you don't listen to them. You're like, what a prick, what an asshole. Why is he saying that? Why is he insulting me? This guy's so much better than me. I don't like him. So you need to find common ground to make people feel safe. So you need to be confident and humble at the same time. You just speak confidently, right? You just have an open body language, a confident body language. You're charismatic, but at the same time, you're humble and you admit mistakes. And you say, I could be wrong, but I think this. And before you criticize someone, like let's say you criticize someone for failing a test, you don't say, oh, you failed a test, you suck. You say, you know, once in 3rd grade, I failed this math test, just like you. And, you know, next time, you know, I learned that you can study a bit harder. So you don't criticize them directly. You first criticize yourself, and then you criticize them. Next, just like another easy thing is, which is asking for input. So instead of doing you all of the input, and you doing all of the decisions, and you leading the conversation, you just ask for input. Like, what do you think about this? Just again, like asking for feedback, basically. Is there something that I'm missing? Could I be wrong? What do you think? What's your take on this? Just like these simple questions that make the other person feel valued and heard. Because when you're constantly talking and just talking about yourself, the other person doesn't listen to you. Everyone wants to speak, right? And everyone wants to speak about themselves and what they are doing. And they want to prove themselves and show that they are valuable. So give the other person the option that they can do that. Now the last part of the Terra framework is autonomy. So do I have control, right? We always want to have control, and we rather, you know, keep something that we have right now than to gain something new. So if I'm owning this water bottle right now, I want to have the choice of this water bottle. I want to keep it. I would hate to lose this. And I want to be free in what I'm doing, right? I don't want to be a slave. I don't want to be in a cage. And you have to give other people this autonomy, this choice in a conversation. So you don't have like the strict rules. Rules are very boring in conversations. You want to be free flowing so you can exchange ideas and actually have a valuable conversation. But when you just have the strict rules, like I will talk 80% of the time, you will talk 20% of the time, it's boring. You want to provide like an opinion of choice, like an option of choice. But how do you do that? First of all is to give choices. So you just can say something like, would you prefer if you do it that way or this way? What's your take on this? Right? You invite the other person to give a choice. And if you agree with that choice, you can adopt the choice. If you don't agree with it, you can try to find a middle ground. Like, then you bring your opinion into that conversation and you speak about both choices, and then you find middle ground, like a mix of both opinions. The next one is to just empower others, right? So you encourage the other person to make a decision. What do you think about this? And you can also slightly push people, so you challenge people just enough so that they come out of their own shell, right? And they do things that they normally wouldn't do, but they would very happily do. So one thing is like, let's say they're very anxious, right? And they want to speak to a girl. You can kind of slightly push them. You can kind of slightly say like, you can motivate them. You can be like, hey man, like, what's the worst that could happen? Just go up to her and speak to her. You kind of, if it's like a friend or like a coworker, like someone that you know, you can kind of push them and you can improve them and you can say, hey, I'm behind your back. If something goes wrong, I am here for you. Okay, and the last thing that you can do is just offering support, right? You just say, hey, I have your back, which I just spoke about. Now let's get into the next thing, because have you ever wondered why some ideas seem to stick? Why some people just are so good at communicating and you listen to every single word that they are saying? And that is because they are great storytellers. And stories have been in our communication since millions of years, right? Like, imagine you're sitting at a campfire. What did you do? You told each other stories. What are all great leaders doing? They're telling stories. They're moving people with their words because they are so relatable. And you listen to that, and it's interesting, and it triggers certain hormones inside of your brain that just make you listen. Oxytocin, which is like a love hormone, gets triggered by story. Dopamine, serotonin. And every single movie has a story. Every single sales presentation has a story. Every single great product, whether it's Apple or brand or like Nike or something like that, or the best example is Subway, have a story. And I want to tell you exactly how to tell a great story, which is actually a thing. And this is the start of this video. And in fact, it's super easy and simple. You just have to start with a character. This can be yourself or someone else. And this character wants to reclaim something or wants to win something or wants to stop something. So this character has a problem. It's usually win something, like a sports game, reclaim something. So someone stole or took something from them and they want to gain it back. Like, let's say in The Lord of the Rings, someone stole the ring and he wants to get it back. Or they want to stop something, like stop getting bullied or something like that, right? And then they try and they try and they try, which is the second step, right? You introduce the desire, which I already spoke about, right? So you have a character and then you introduce a desire. So stop or reclaim or pause. And then you share the plan. How are they going to achieve that? And when you're speaking about the plan, they are going to come across obstacles and problems they want to solve. And then they fail and fail and fail over and over again. And through these mistakes, they learn. And then at the end, they have the resolution, which is they get the desire that they wanted. So they win that sports game. They reclaim that ring. They pause this bully from bullying them. That's basically it. And that's exactly what I said at the start of this video, right? I was 16 years old, which is a character. I had a problem. I couldn't speak. I was shit at social skills. I had a desire, right? Which is improving my social skills. I failed over and over again. I failed at presentations. I recorded over 1,200 videos and failed. I read over 17 books, right? And then I had a plan and I took action. I failed. And now I'm here where I am right now, at the resolution, at the point where I've reclaimed, or not reclaimed, but where I've won this desire that I had as a start. That is just every single story. Every single movie is starting like that. A character has a problem, right? Wants to win something, wants to pause something, wants to reclaim something, fails over and over again, needs a mentor, right? Gets some kind of action plan, fails, tries, is close to winning, fails again, and then wins. Every single story, every single movie is like that. And it has a reason, because it's so powerful. It's deeply ingrained inside of our minds. If you need help applying these strategies, you can click on the first link in the description to book a free call with me, and I will help you reduce your generalized anxiety disorder in just 30 days. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please message me and take action.